Welcome back, Missionary Moneymakers. I'm your podcast host, Carl Wynn. This is Missionary Moneymaker. And today I'm so excited because this is the last episode in this 10-week series we've been looking at, which is called Start Development. And if you haven't been with us, we know the word START stands for Shaping Tomorrow Advancement Right Today. So it's an acrostic. Shaping Tomorrow Advancement Right Today. I like what John Maxwell says. He said, bring good ideas to the table. And so today, we're going to continue to build upon our 10-week series. And this is the last episode, and we're going to look at intellectual development. Last week, we looked at intellectual development. So over these last 9 weeks, we looked at spiritual development, leadership development, economic development, relationship development. And last week, we looked at our first episode of intellectual development. So this is the last episode of intellectual development, last episode of the START development. And I want to remind you that our growth in any of these areas will help us increase our capacity to contribute to others. If we are to improve our companies, our communities, our cities, our countries tomorrow, then we must improve ourselves today. So let me share with you, over the last 2 years, I have set big goals. In fact, I have developed a goal framework, which is called Big Gigs. Now, Big Gig stands for this: big goals, big impact, big growth, and big success. And in setting these big gigs, I have discovered that pursuing goals is more about my growth than it is achieving the goal. Now, I'm not saying I'm not focused on achieving the goal, but I tell you, when I set these big gigs, I grow personally. So, for example, I said I wanted to help 10,000 Christians write and publish a book. And this was probably a year ago. And what happens is it's allowed me to stretch myself to think about how am I going to grow in order for me to reach this goal. But I want to tell you about this story about this famous man that all of us might know. He is John Wooden. He's the UCLA famous basketball coach. And under his leadership, the team won, look, listen to this, 10 NCAA national championships in just 12 seasons. That's from 1964 to 1975. 7 consecutive NCAA championships, 1967 to 1963. Still, and it's still an NCAA record. 4 undefeated seasons, 88 game winning streak from 1971 to 1974, 19 conference championships, 12 Final Four appearances. Now, I just got to say, this is impressive. But what we should know about Coach Wooden is he didn't focus on winning championships, but he focused on building champions. And so what if someone can give you a record like Coach Wooden? Would you take it? What if someone could wave a magical wand and your career or business amounted to the success of your dreams? What if you won the Mega Millions in Texas set at $707 million? Would you be happy? Well, the research tells us this, that you and I would be miserable and our lives would be headed for a train wreck if we won that money, if the magic wand was waved, if somebody gave us the winning record like Coach Wooden. We would be miserable. Listen to Wooden's success definition. He says success is peace of mind, which is a direct result of self-satisfaction in knowing you made the effort to become the best of which you are capable. So goal setting then is not so much about the end results, but about who you become in the process, who I become in the process. Intellectual development is a part of the process of goal setting. As we close out the last episode of this series, we will be investigating practical steps for intellectual development. Don't let the music die with you. That is something I've been telling Christians for the last year. Many Christians say that they want to write a book. Well, that is my goal, is not to let the music die with you. Because guess what? Once you die, the value that you have, it can't come back out. And writing a book is a great way to increase your impact, your income, and influence. And my goal is to help 10,000 Christians in 2026 write and publish a book. So if that's you, I want you to download this free worksheet. It's called 5 Ways to Finding Your Unique Book Idea. And I want to help you write your book. Remember, don't let the music die with you. Go ahead and start singing it loud and proud right now. And remember, this is not about pride, but it's about productivity. So point number 1 is this. If we're going to grow intellectually, then we need to create a plan for intellectual development. Henry Ford says this: people don't plan to fail, they fail to plan. So if I'm going to grow intellectually, we need to have a plan to grow. We're not going to get there on accident. It's going to take intention. In the last episode, I talked about Jim Rohn's 730 principle, which he instructs us to live on 70% of our income, allocate 10% to personal growth, invest 10%, and give 10% away. And so as we think about that 10% of personal growth, we need to have a plan for using it. And so in point 1, I'm going to give you some ideas on how to create a plan. Number 1, purchase and read at least one book every month. And with that in mind, commit to 15 minutes of reading that book in the morning and in the afternoon. And if you take this route, you will have read 182.5 hours in a year. And guess what? An average reader could read between 35 and 45 books a year if they took that route. So don't read to understand all of the content, but only for good ideas. Think about this. If you could get one great idea each month, that's 12 ideas a year. And you can transform your whole life just by one great idea. So reading is all about mining for great ideas. So right now, these are some of the books that I'm reading. 1, I'm reading Questioning God, Take the Risk, and 3, Madhouse at the End of the Earth. So these are books that I'm reading right now. And remember, I'm not reading just so I can consume all of the content. I'm reading to try to get one great idea out of those books. Number 2, another part of your lesson is this: listen to one book a week. This may seem like a big goal, but I have learned listening is easier than reading. Depending on which service you use, they have option for listening to a higher speed. And over the years, I've been able to increase my listening speed to 3.5. And so I can listen to books really fast. So I can listen to 3, 4, 5 books a week easy on that speed. And so remember, listening is more about harvesting ideas, and it helps to stimulate our intellect. So it's not about you being able to quote facts. It's about just listening and trying to harvest one great idea. The third part of your plan could be listen to podcasts. I listen to podcasts that are industry specific, but also others that aren't. And I learned so much about a variety of subjects by listening to these shows. Just think, just like listening to books, I've been able to increase my listening speed to podcasts. So at that rate, I can consume content really quick. So I would encourage you, if you're just starting out, to listen to books, listen to podcasts, over time, try to increase your listening speed, because when you do, it's going to help you. I heard this once before and I said, well, I'm going to try it out. And let me tell you, it's been one of the best ideas, best decision. Remember, I heard this on the podcast. And again, I harvest that one good idea, great idea, and now it still benefit me maybe 3-4 years later. So other ideas for intellectual development are: you can attend conferences, workshops or meetings, create a book club, or etc. So think about this. Your goal is, what can my plan be? So think about those things. The second thing is journal or write. On my bookshelf, I have a treasure worth more than money. It is 28 journals that capture my journey of life. And these journals hold both good and bad ideas that I've captured over time. There are ideas that I've recorded, refined, reframed, as well as repeated. And these things helps us grow intellectually. When you're writing, when you're journaling, you have to think about it. You have to know how to put it into a format that you can read, that others can read, that sometime in a story format. So writing helps you to grow intellectually. And so over the last 2 years, I've been able to write and publish 8 books with others in the queue. And this is what I found out. The more I write and journal, the more I develop intellectually. And as I said this before on one podcast, people can tell that you're growing. See, don't worry about if people can see what you're doing privately. They're going to know that you're developing privately by how you contribute publicly. So take Steph Curry, for example. We know that in private, he's working on his shooting. Why? Because when he steps on a court publicly, the game is over, right? He can shoot threes from anywhere. He can shoot shots. He can shoot layups. He's unstoppable offensively. He is practicing. So you don't have to question, does he practice? Because when he steps out in the public, you know that he's honing his skills. You know that he's getting better at his craft. So when I say that other people notice what you're doing privately, they can see based on your contribution. How do you show up? And so if you want to show up better for your team, you want to show better for your clients, your community, then you need to start growing intellectually. Because remember, it's all about contribution, not just consumption. And I cannot stress this exercise as much as any. Writing and journaling will change your life. If you just do this, your growth will be exponentially. Welcome to Missionary Moneymaker, the podcast where making a dime is making a difference. I'm Carl James Wynn Jr., and we believe this: mission and money were never meant to be separated. Every Christian in the marketplace is a missionary, called to create value, solve problems, and steward influence for the glory of God. This podcast is a discipleship movement, a marketplace masterclass, and a prophetic reframe of how we think about work, wealth, and calling. Here, we equip entrepreneurs, professionals, and leaders to increase their impact, income, and influence without guilt, without comparison, just calling. If you're ready to leverage your past, walk in obedience, and build with purpose, you're in the right place. Let's go to work. The third thing to grow intellectually is this: become a student of history. I love history, not so that I can spout off facts, but because history helps us to learn from it. History is a resource. It's valuable. There's things that I can learn from history, the good, the bad, and the ugly. And so history was recorded for our benefit. So I look into history so that I can learn. And when I learn, I'm able to invest that back into other people. Lately, I've been getting ideas from biographies from people like Booker T. Washington, the Wright brothers. I've even listened to books by Sir Ernest Shackleton. I'm reading this book called Madhouse at the End of the Earth. And I just finished reading a book by my good friend it's about Texas history, called Shouts of the Republic by my friend Blake Peffer. So these books help me to learn about history, and they help to stimulate me intellectually. And here's some things that I've learned from these books. One, I've learned that the human body can endure far more than we can imagine. So at this moment, I'm pressing myself to do more because I've learned that we can do more than we can imagine. Sometimes we don't do more because we don't know what we're capable of. And I want to lay out my life. I want to pour out my life for the glory of God and the good of others. I've also learned that life is about contribution, not consumption. Right? When I read history and I'm reading these books, these people are putting their lives on the line, not just for their consumption, but for their contribution to others. Take, for example, the battle at the Alamo. It was a brutal battle. It was a battle that lasted almost a couple weeks. And those men in the Alamo, they were willing to give up their lives for the freedom of others. They would not give up. They would not surrender. They continue to fight. And today we enjoy that freedom. I've learned that I need to build for generations that will follow. So the things that I'm doing today, I need to be focused not on just today. I need to focus on tomorrow. I need to focus on in the next 10 years, the 20 years, the next 30, 40 years. So I'm investing now, not so that I can reap, but so that other people can reap. So I'm asking myself, Carl, what can you do today that's going to help other people grow 20, 30, 40 years from today? And one of those things, I'm investing heavily in my children, loving on them, shaping them, shepherding them, helping them grow. But I'm also working with the college students on Texas Southern University, helping them to grow, to develop. What am I doing? I'm investing this podcast episode into you, my brothers and sisters in Christ, so you can increase your income, your influence, your impact, your income, and your influence for the glory of God and the good of others. I'm writing books so that people that I'll never meet can read that book and their lives can be transformed. And they can go out and transform other people's lives. I'm helping people write books so that they can get their message out, so that it won't die with them, so somebody else can hear that message and their lives can be changed. So we got to ask ourselves, what am I doing today that's going to help somebody, not just tomorrow, but for eternity? I'm sharing the gospel with people, bringing people to Christ, pointing people to Jesus, right? Getting ready to launch a Bible study here at Texas Southern University with the football team, wanting to invest in these young men, praying. God is at work. So these are things that I've learned from history. My life is not about me. Let me tell you, your life is not about you. It's about others. What are you going to do today that can help point people to the eternal God who can change their life? So that all comes from history. So history is a great way for us to grow intellectually. And the last way for us to grow intellectually, and there's more, it's not exhaustive, but this is what I've listed. Travel locally and abroad. So last year, my wife, my mother, my 5 children, and I, we took a 22-day road trip, and it was amazing. And what I've learned is this, that the context of the location stimulates us intellectually. Just by going to various places, your mind begins to go. Conversations come up just based on the location. You're seeing something different. You're experiencing something new. And in the fall, we're hosting a 12-week START development program for college students at TSU. And one of the 12 weeks, we're going to focus on experiential development. And this is focusing on exposure to different people, places, and experiences. This works, right? You need to go try new things. You need this experiential development. It shapes who you are. It shapes who you become. It shapes what you're able to do. So just last week, my oldest son wrote in his book about mountains, melted ice creating or melted snow creating waterfalls and rivers, which is cold. And when I asked him where he got this idea, he told me from our visit to Yosemite National Park. That was on our road trip. So as I thought about that, travel is a great way to grow intellectually. There is no way that he could have the context of the mountains and the snow melting off the mountain and forming a waterfall and forming a river if we did not go there. And so that experiential development comes through travel, and it stimulates your intellect that positions you to serve other people. And so as I close this podcast episode, I want to remind you of some truths. One, progress over perfection. As we've looked at these last 9 weeks, I want to remind you progress over perfection. Don't worry about being perfect. Worry about making progress. How are you going to get better every day? So whether it's spiritual development, whether it's leadership development, whether it's economic development, whether it's relationship development, whether it's um, um, intellectual development, you want to focus on progress over perfection. How are you getting better day in and day out? Second, improve today to improve tomorrow. That's plain and simple. If you're going to make tomorrow better, then you need to start improving yourself today. Third thing is lifelong learning equals lifelong earning. If you learn every day, you're going to reap the rewards tomorrow. So lifelong learning is equal to lifelong earning. Earning in all of these areas, whether it's spiritual development, leadership development, economic development, relationship development, intellectual development. These things work. So if you are focused on learning and developing, you're going to earn more tomorrow. They go hand in hand. And the fourth thing is this: contribution over consumption. If you didn't get anything from this podcast, remember this: it's all about contribution and not just about consumption. Now, I'm not saying that it's not wrong for you to consume, but your focus should be this. Your focus should be contribution over consumption, because your consumption is going to come when you can contribute. So focus on contribution. So with that being said, this is the last episode in this series, and I'm going to see you in the next episode. But remember this: if this has been helpful to you, go ahead and like it, subscribe, share with other people, and let's grow this community, because I can't do it without you. Remember, this is all about increasing your impact, your income, and your influence for the glory of God and the good of other people. Remember, it's not just about money. This mission is not just about money. It's about Jesus. It's about taking the Great Commission farther. It's about expanding the kingdom of God. And guess what? In the marketplace, you can make a dime and you can make a difference. God bless you, and I'll see you in the next episode. Missionary Moneymaker, where making a dime is making a difference. This is a discipleship movement, a marketplace masterclass, and a bold reframe of mission and money, helping Christians increase impact, income, and influence without guilt, without comparison, just calling.